end is here. The culmination of one of the most tense and captivating rivalries in professional wrestling history. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is a strange case of Sean, here with the finale of my story, New World Order, Undertaker. A story written by me, with some assistance from ChatGPT. The icon Sting will represent the WCW in a high-stakes battle against the leader of the nWo and WCW World Heavyweight Champion, The Undertaker. This is the main event of an already monumental StarrCade. Before we get started, I implore you check out all the other previous chapters, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I appreciate all the support. Making this series has been so much fun for me, and the support I've already received has been wonderful. So let's catch up on the rivalry between Taker and Sting, as well as the events so far on StarrCade. Shockwaves were sent through WCW and the world of professional wrestling as a whole, with the unexpected arrival of The Undertaker at the previous year's StarrCade. Upon his arrival, Taker seized control of leadership of the nWo and even claimed the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, while the hero of WCW, Sting, disappeared. In this period without Sting, The Undertaker and the nWo broke down WCW, increasing their numbers and taking out notable members of the WCW roster. Some in the nWo didn't approve of Taker's vision and broke away, but that did little to derail this new evolution of the nWo. When things seemed most grim, Sting returned to the aid of WCW, making it known he would continue to be their champion in their fight against the nWo and their intimidating new leader. Sting would fight hard for a chance to take on The Undertaker for his WCW championship and gets his shot at StarrCade. This rivalry will see its climactic end in a match of The Undertaker's designed called the King of Terror's Trials, as part of their agreement. Taker gets to choose the match stipulation, but if Sting wins, not only does he become champion, but the nWo must disband forever. On top of that, Executive Vice President Dusty Rhodes raised the stakes, not just for the main event, but for every match involving nWo members. Each match would now help decide whether interference would be allowed in the main event. If an nWo member won, they earned a point toward allowing interference. If their opponents won, they earned a point toward banning it. In the end, the WCW was able to come out on top, securing a big victory over the nWo. They were able to attain the rule to banning all interference in tonight's main event. They did this by securing more victories in matches against the nWo. Randy Savage won the WCW United States Championship in a grueling ladder match and taking the championship away from the nWo's Kane. The newly rebranded Outsiders, going by the nWo Wolfpack, were able to defeat the Acolytes, who were representing the nWo, and reunite with their old representative Eric Bischoff, who negated the effects of Paul at ringside. The nWo's only victory came from Vampiro, who was able to defeat Diamond Dallas Page in a grudge match, while receiving no help from his faction, but from a potential new ally, Father James Mitchell. Will WCW crumble at its foundations at the hands of the King of Terrors and his order, or will they have to cease to exist thanks to the champion of WCW and the world of professional wrestling? Well, let's find out, shall we? In the center of the ring, we see Michael Buffer getting his microphone ready to begin to explain match rules and to introduce the competitors. Michael begins. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight you will all witness a war between two men who will strive for success and strain for survival. This championship bout will be held under rules called the King of Terror's Trials. A best of three matchup, each with their own set of rules. The first is entitled The Rage of the Night. The trial will follow the standards of a no-holds-barred match. The second, The Rite of the Altar. The trial will follow the standards of a tables match. And finally, if the match needs to move to the final trial, the contenders will face off in the structure hanging above us all, the Cage of Oblivion. This trial will lock the combatants inside the structure, and hostility will come to a head when one man cannot answer the count of 10, signaling one's defeat and the other's conquest. This match will be for the WCW Heavyweight Championship of the world. The crowd cheers. There are dueling chants for Sting and for The Undertaker. Out first, we see the icon, Sting, make his way to the ramp with his signature black baseball bat. Sting looks all over the arena, determined, but there is a visible sense of tension in his war paint. Sting continues his brave walk and enters the ring. He takes off his jacket, but keeps a tight grasp on his weapon. The lights go out. Then a few lights turn to the entrance stage, and we see The Undertaker make his entrance with the championship around his waist. He demonstrates the same demeanor in his entrance he has had since his arrival. There are more notable boos for the champion. Taker enters the ring. He looks up at Sting and takes off his vest. He then swiftly removes his glasses to reveal his eyes rolled back. The lights dim, and the spotlight focuses on Taker and Sting, alongside Michael Buffer for formal introductions. Buffer begins. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment WCW and the world of professional wrestling has been waiting for. First, the challenger. From Venice Beach, California, weighing in at 250 pounds, emerging from the rafters, a quiet force of vengeance. He is the torchbearer and dark defender of the WCW, the vigilante stalking the nWo. He is the icon, the man they call Sting. Thunderous chants sound for Sting. The crowd chants heavily for him. The crowd then simmers down. Sting points his bat to Taker. He then drops it to his feet, not taking his eyes off of him. Buffer continues. And now, his opponent. From Death Valley, weighing in at 328 pounds, he is the leader of the New World Order and current WCW World Heavyweight Champion. He goes by many names. He is the Lord of Darkness, the Reaper of Souls, the Phenom, the King of Terrors. He is The Undertaker. There are noticeable cheers for Taker, but louder boos for him. The crowd seems to be divided for this matchup. Buffer continues. And for the thousands in attendance, and for the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble! The crowd cheers and is anxious for the bell to ring. Buffer leaves the ring, leaving only the challenger, champion, and referee. The tension is boiling over. The bell rings, signaling the beginning of the King of Terror's trials. The first trial, Rage of the Night. Sting and Taker square up to each other. No trash talk, just stares that could knock out a normal human. Taker makes first contact, shoving Sting. Sting shows his fearlessness and shoves Taker right back. The two begin to trade shots. Sting implements more speed, connecting with punches, backing Taker into the corner. Sting then delivers chops to Taker. Taker tries to catch his breath. Sting, seeing an opportunity, runs to the opposite corner, then charges at Taker for a Stinger splash, but is caught by the dead man. Taker throws Sting into the corner and showcases his own speed with quick strikes and one that connects to Stinger's throat. Sting gets out of the corner, but Taker picks him up and hits the snake eyes and follows that with a big boot. Taker goes for an early cover. Sting kicks out. Taker laughs it off and begins to choke him with one hand. The referee can't do anything but advise Taker to stop. Taker grows annoyed with the referee and chases him back. While that happens, Sting rolls out of the ring and begins to crawl on the mat. Taker rolls outside and stalks Sting. He picks up Sting again and throws him onto the crowd guardrail. Sting, hurt, tries to create distance from Taker. Taker grabs Sting and smashes his face into the steel steps. The ref shouts to Taker and they begin to argue. Taker returns his attention to Sting. Sting swings his bat but Taker catches it, rips it away, and drops Sting with a headbutt. He then cracks Sting in the back with his own bat. Taker whips Sting back into the corner and goes for another cover. 1, 2, Sting kicks out again. Taker picks up Sting and delivers a sidewalk slam. Taker then slowly gets up and readies for an elbow drop. As Taker goes for the drop, Sting moves out of the way. Taker misses and holds his back. The shock of the impact did some damage to the champion. Sting tries to recover in the corner. Taker is able to recover and charges Sting, but gets hit with 2 boots to his face. Sting then hits a running bulldog to the champion. Sting covers Taker. 1, a quick kick out. A desperate pin attempt on the champion. Sting may be getting worried. Sting then chop blocks Taker's legs. He falls into the corner. Sting turns Taker around and then climbs up and begins to hit 10 punches, hitting each and every one of them with the crowd sounding along. Sting shouts to the crowd over a stunned Taker. Sting looks down at Taker and then begins hitting quick lefts and rights. Taker wakes up and is able to get Sting into a powerbomb position. Sting, surprised, gets dropped in a massive powerbomb. Taker covers Sting. 1, 2, Sting kicks out. Taker drags Sting and places his head underneath the bottom ring rope. Taker prepares to hit a guillotine leg drop onto Sting. Taker runs for the drop, but Sting is mindful to move. Another critical error for the champion. Taker holds his back and gets his feet onto the mat outside, trying to recover. Sting then climbs to the top turnbuckle and splashes onto Taker, taking both of them out. The crowd cheers, enjoying the match. Both men recover. Taker enters the ring, followed by Sting. Sting clubs Taker on the back. Taker then grabs Sting by the throat. Sting kicks Taker in the gut, and follows that with an atomic drop and a high drop kick. Sting then locks in the Scorpion Deathlock. The crowd chants for Taker to tap out. Taker crawls with Sting, holding his legs tight. Sting retches on Taker's legs, mustering a lot of energy. Taker gets to the ropes, but there are no rope breaks. Taker then desperately tries to maneuver himself out of the ring. Sting loses his grip and has to break the hold. Taker drops himself to the outside. Sting takes a moment to catch his breath. Sting exits the ring and continues his attacks on Taker. Sting takes out a steel chair from underneath the ring. He places it down on the outside. Sting picks up Taker and gets him into position for a DDT. Taker desperately picks up Sting and rams his back into the steel ring post. Sting falls to his knees, weakened. Taker picks up the chair that was seemingly meant for him and smashes Sting's back multiple times. He then slides the chair in the ring, followed by Sting. Taker picks up the chair again and smashes it over Sting's head, but Sting refuses to go down. Taker, frustrated, drops the chair, lifts Sting up, and hits him with the Tombstone Piledriver. Taker does his signature pin. 1, 2, 3. The bell rings. The first trial goes to the champion, The Undertaker. With the first fall awarded to Taker, the commentators announce the competitors get a brief time to recover. Taker goes to his corner to recover. The referee and medics check on Sting. Sting then begins to recover in his own corner and gets to his feet. The commentators announce the second trial, the Rite of the Altar, is next. To win, one competitor must put another through a table. The bell rings and the second trial begins. Sting begins to walk towards Taker, but is met quickly with a big boot that knocks him down. Taker runs and delivers a leg drop to Sting. He looks down at his weakened foe and smirks. The dead man introduces the first table, sliding it into the ring with a chilling calm. He then picks up Sting and grabs his throat. He attempts an early chokeslam, but Sting desperately rakes the eyes and escapes. He takes the advantage and nails a DDT. Both men are down. The crowd engages in dueling chants for the competitors. Both men begin to rise to their feet. They begin to trade blows. Taker swings wildly and Sting ducks and follows that with a back suplex. Sting gets to his feet with assistance from the ropes. He sizes up Taker, who is also getting to his feet. Sting charges Taker and nails him with a running bulldog onto the table laying in the ring that was brought in. Sting then notices the table appears to have a crack in it. He shows the referee and argues that he has won the trial. The referee looks conflicted. He ultimately rules that a crack in the table does not count. Sting continues to protest the ruling. Meanwhile, Taker grabs Sting's bat and strikes him in the back. Sting collapses to the mat. Taker drops the bat and then sets up the table cautiously. Taker walks over to Sting, who is again trying to recover. He scrubs his boot into Sting's face, peeling off the war paint. Taker retches on Sting's arm and twists it. He then backs himself into a corner, bringing Sting with him. Taker climbs up to the top rope and begins the rope walk he does for his signature move, the old school. Taker takes a couple steps, but Sting thinks quickly and pulls Taker off and sends Taker crashing to the mat. Taker just misses the table, and Sting expresses a look of disappointment. Taker recovers in the opposite corner. As he turns around, Sting hits the Stinger Splash 3 separate times. Sting then hits Taker with an atomic drop and follows that with a drop kick, sending Taker outside of the ring. Taker looks to recover. Meanwhile, Sting climbs to the top turnbuckle again and leaps off, delivering a massive splash to the dead man. He gets up and beats his chest, following that with a shout to the crowd. Sting then delivers grounded punches to the champion. Taker pulls on Sting's attire and yanks him face first into the border of the ring. Taker then rolls Sting back into the ring. Taker hits Sting with a headbutt and Sting gets knocked into the corner. Taker picks up Sting and sits him on the top turnbuckle. Taker then climbs up to meet him. Sting retaliates with headbutts of his own. He's able to stun Taker. Sting slides through Taker's legs. He grabs his bat and strikes Taker in the leg with the bat. Taker crashes to the mat, holding his leg in agony. Sting then drops the mat and signals to the crowd he's ready to again lock in the Scorpion Deathlock. He walks over to the wounded Taker, but is then caught by surprise as Taker locks Sting in the triangle choke. Sting panics, processing the pain and his potential demise. Sting begins to fade, eventually going limp. The referee raises his hand once, it drops instantly. The referee raises it again, the same thing happens. The referee raises it one last time. Just as it drops, Sting's fist clenches and stays in the air. The crowd pops huge. Sting briskly maneuvers his legs into a squat position. He then musters up some strength and actually lifts Taker into the air, who keeps the choke cinched in. Sting takes a couple steps forward, but falls forward, sending Taker down, crashing through the table. The referee rings the bell, signaling Sting's victory in the second trial. The trials are tied, and the final trial is now called for. Both wrestlers take a brief time to recover. Ring crew come in to take out the broken pieces of the table. Taker gets to his feet and then strikes the ring crew in anger. Sting intervenes and they begin wildly brawling. Other referees and security come out to separate the two. They are able to restore order and the officials leave the ring. The cage of oblivion then begins to get lowered and then is locked into place. The bell rings and the final trial begins. Sting fires first, rushing Taker with fast punches and backing him into the corner. Taker absorbs the strikes and then forces Sting into the corner and retaliates with stiff body shots. He hits him with a deep uppercut with enough power to send Sting over the ropes and to the outside. Taker ragdolls Sting into the cage wall, following by scraping Sting's face against the cold, unforgiving steel. The war paint can be seen on the cage, along with crimson droplets. Taker hits some more calculated strikes. He then grabs Sting by the throat and hits a chokeslam on the floor. The referee begins his count. Sting weakly makes it back to his feet, using the ring post for assistance before the ref can get to a count of 5. Taker charges Sting, but he deflects the charge and sends Taker to collide with the ring post and then to the floor. Sting then falls to his knees. The referee begins a count. Taker then recovers as the ref gets to a 3 count. He notices crimson droplets on his hands and realizes it's his own. Sting then hits a Stinger Splash to Taker's back and into the cage. Sting then smashes the back of Taker's head repeatedly into the cage wall. Taker is again stunned. Sting then creates some distance and spears Taker through the cage, collapsing the wall. The referee then begins the count for both men. However, they both get up at the count of 8. Sting looks to continue his assault, but Taker delivers jabs to Sting's ribs. Taker delivers another headbutt and Sting falls to the ground. Taker lifts him up and slams him straight first into the cage and hits a power slam. Taker yells at the referee to begin the count, but he tells Taker that Sting isn't flat on the ground and that the count would be invalid. Behind Taker's back, Sting then begins a slow ascent up the cage in an attempt to create more space and drain Taker of more energy. Taker turns around to see what Sting is doing and smiles. He then begins the chase after Sting. The referee follows suit. Sting and Taker stare each other down high atop the cage of oblivion. The Undertaker does his signature taunt. Sting beats his chest again and shouts to the crowd. They begin to trade blows atop the cage. Taker gets most of the exchange and gets Sting into a powerbomb position, but Sting thinks quickly and counters it into a back body drop. The cage ceiling crinkles. The referee implores both men to scale down the cage before someone gets seriously hurt. He is ignored. Sting picks up Taker and gets him into position for the Scorpion Death Drop, but Taker musters up a magnificent amount of strength to lift Sting up and over and hits him with a Tombstone Piledriver on the cage ceiling. Sting is laid out and Taker collapses to the ceiling. The referee begins a count. Sting doesn't show any signs of motion. Taker gets up at the count of 5. The ref gets to a count of 8. Then the referee drops to Sting, silently encouraging him to get up. Taker notices this and violently grabs the referee. Taker begins to argue with the ref, disrupting the count. Taker disrespects the referee and demands they finish the count and end Sting's suffering. As Taker returns his attention to Sting, the referee signals the bird to Taker. But that was a mistake, as Taker caught him. The ref looks horrified, and Taker begins to chase off the ref. The ref begins to scale down the cage, and Taker follows. The ref runs to the back, and Taker follows. Then we see Dusty Rhodes stop Taker in his tracks. Dusty tells Taker he will swap out referees. Taker tells Dusty that he's lucky and turns around to see Sting. Sting then begins to deliver big blows to Taker. They battle back to the inside of the cage. Sting picks up the bat and goes to swing at Taker, but Taker ducks, then hits a sudden big boot. He then picks up the bat and lays it onto Sting's chest and hits a leg drop onto the bat. Taker demands the ref to count. Sting gets back to his feet at the count of 8. Taker then lifts Sting up into a Tombstone Piledriver, but Sting moves frantically and shifts his body to bend Taker backwards, and he hits his own tombstone to the Undertaker. The crowd goes ballistic. Sting falls to his knees as Taker is laid out. The referee begins to count. Sting rises to his feet and looks down at Taker as the ref reaches a count of 6. At the count of 9, Taker does his signature sit-up and is angry. He gets to his feet and Sting is in shock, but doesn't lose focus. The two begin a battle of strikes again, and the crowd can't decide who to cheer for. Sting catches a strike from Taker. He then hits him with a powerful punch. He then delivers chops and strikes to Taker. Taker falls into the corner, and Sting sees the opportunity to hit multiple stinger splashes once more. Taker collapses to the mat, falling near the bat of Sting, and Sting sees it. Sting picks up the bat and stares at it, thinking up an idea of something, an idea he thought he was above. Taker begins to rise to his feet, beating the referee's count. Sting then takes the bat and places Taker in a sleeper hold with extra leverage from the bat. Taker frantically tries to find any means of an escape, but he's unable to. The dead man begins to fade. He drops to one knee. Sting retches back with the hold still applied. Taker drops to both knees. Sting then brings Taker back up to his feet. He then switches positions to get Taker into position for the Scorpion Death Drop. Sting throws the bat aside and delivers the drop, laying out the King of Terrors. The ref begins his count. Sting rests on the ropes. The ref gets to a count of 7. Taker hasn't moved. The ref continues. 8. Sting gets off the ropes. Taker starts showing signs of life. 9. Taker sits up, but he falls back down to the mat. The ref counts to 10. Sting wins the King of Terror's trials and defeats The Undertaker. The WCW World Heavyweight Championship returns home. Sting falls to his knees as the cage rises. Many WCW faithful come out to celebrate. Meanwhile, The Undertaker rolls out of the ring. As Sting celebrates with the roster, the referee hands over the championship he fought so hard to attain. Sting lifts the title into the air in celebration. The roster places Sting on their shoulders to send StarrCade off the air. And so settles the story of the nWo under the leadership of The Undertaker. I hope you've enjoyed this series as much as I enjoyed making it. If you were here from the beginning and have been here to the end of the series, thank you so much for checking it out. Thank you for all the likes and the comments. It means a lot. If you checked out only one video or this finale, I appreciate that support too. Again, it really means a lot. Thank you so much for watching. Stay strange, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next video.